New information from the Stanford Dean of Admissions just dropped. I recently attended a webinar that was offered by the Stanford Dean of Admissions that was exclusively offered to Stanford alumni. They were talking about how the Stanford admissions process has adapted after the Supreme Court ruling against affirmative action. So I was like, of course I have to watch this. I'm gonna pull up my notes here because there's some very interesting and useful information that I'm gonna share with you guys today. But before we get into it, let me introduce myself. Hi, my name is Dylan Ellis. I'm a college admissions coach at NextGen Admit, and I'm a Stanford alumni. I make college application videos on YouTube to help you get accepted to your dream schools. Because you're here, I'm assuming you're interested in getting into Stanford, and you have come to the right place. I attended Stanford myself and have 5 years of experience coaching students to get into top schools, including Stanford. I've actually put together a strategy-packed masterclass that I'm gonna give to you for free. If you just go to nextgenadmit.com/masterclass, you can register for free, and I'm gonna break down the top school admissions formula. I'm gonna show you the strategy that it takes to get into your top schools and earn over $20,000 in merit scholarships. There's so much valuable information in this masterclass, you seriously don't wanna miss it. Plus, it's all free. So after I tell you all this juicy information I just gathered, head on over and check that out. So, the ruling against affirmative action means that now colleges cannot consider race when evaluating applicants. The interesting thing here is that Stanford admissions actually outlined what this really means for them and what they actually can and cannot do. Here's what college admissions cannot do. They cannot consider racial or ethnic status in evaluating applicants. They cannot stereotype students based on their race or ethnicity, which is now considered impermissible and unlawful. They cannot use categorical labels such as URM, unrepresented minority, African American, or Latinx without relevant context. And they cannot accept uncontextualized mentions of race. For example, if an applicant simply states her racial and cultural identity without explaining its impact on her life or aspirations, this will not carry weight in the admissions process. However, this is what Stanford admissions can and will do. They can evaluate experiences influenced by race when tied to the applicant's unique contributions to Stanford's community or mission. Stanford admissions can also focus on how applicants' lived experiences, regardless of background, demonstrate qualities like resilience, innovation, or compassion, aligning with Stanford's goals. This was an interesting thing for the dean to talk about because clearly these colleges don't necessarily not want to hear about your background or identity. That was just the Supreme Court's ruling. But these colleges still want to add diversity to their campuses, and they're still looking to see how one's background and experiences shaped who they are and what they will contribute to their campus. Another interesting thing was that the Dean of Admissions really emphasized the non-cognitive qualities that Stanford looks for. Because Stanford still really cares about evaluating each student as an individual. So, these are the non-cognitive qualities that Stanford looks for: curiosity, inquisitiveness, and intellectual engagement, kindness, humility, and humaneness, creativity and innovation, commitment to excellence and potential, a drive to explore new ideas, passion for meaningful pursuits, motivation to achieve goals and contribute to the community, grit, perseverance, and resilience to overcome challenges. Stanford itself really emphasized their holistic review process, meaning that no applicant is ever ruled out based on one single factor. So to all those students in my DMs being like, if I didn't take AP Chem, am I gonna be rejected? No, okay? They look at your application holistically. They consider every factor when reviewing your application, and every application is reviewed within the context of your experiences, achievements, and aspirations. Let me break it down for you. The real reason why Stanford and a lot of these top colleges want to know about your background is because they want to see how your experiences have shaped your unique perspectives and values, and more importantly, how those unique perspectives and values are going to contribute to their college campus. Remember, colleges are very intentional when crafting their cohort of admitted students. They want to make sure that each one has something unique to contribute and can make them, as a university, look good. Whether a college like Stanford will consider your race in admissions comes down to contextual narratives. Because of the ruling against affirmative action, if an applicant mentions their cultural heritage or race without explaining its connection to their personal growth, challenges, or goals, this statement will not be a factor in their application review. However, here is an example of where it could be relevant. If an applicant shares a story about volunteering to provide medical services to underserved migrant communities and connects this experience to their background, upbringing, and passion for healthcare equity, this is considered as their ability to contribute to Stanford's mission. So admissions officers at Stanford are trained to identify meaningful insights tied to an application's individual journey, focusing on authentic storytelling rather than demographic checkboxes. Now let's talk about the Stanford interview process as it relates to race. So interviews for Stanford are optional for students and can be conducted either in person or virtually, and they usually last around 40 minutes. Now, this is what the Dean of Admissions said. The interviewer will provide feedback to the admissions team, focusing on the student's experiences and background. This includes sharing contextual stories about the student's upbringing and areas of interest. Interviews can paraphrase the student's comments to highlight their experiences. However, it is important to note that interviewers should not identify a student's race, as this would be considered a proxy and is not permissible. Instead, the emphasis should be on the broader narrative that encompasses the student's journey. Again, it's all about contextual narratives. Your race can only be relevant to Stanford if it influences your unique perspectives and values that you will contribute to their campus community. In this webinar, Stanford also really emphasized their commitment to diversity, and they talked about some of their outreach initiatives. For example, they're increasing their in-person outreach efforts with their new team of 6 regionally based admissions officers. They are also deepening their collaborations with programs like QuestBridge, College Horizons, and the STARS College Network. They are supporting the Stanford Digital Education Initiative, which works with the National Education Equity Lab to offer college-level Stanford courses to low-income Title I high schools. And they also said they're continuing to explore new opportunities for partnership and collaboration with community-based organizations across the country. So the main takeaways from this is that in your application to Stanford, you really want to showcase those contextual narratives. You want to go beyond just stating your identity or your race or your challenges. You need to very clearly explain how those parts of your background and identity have influenced your life experiences, your worldview, your perspectives, and your values. And Stanford even has a specific supplemental essay prompt that asks students to talk about their unique experiences and values and how that's going to contribute to their school community. So that essay is super important, and you need to make sure that you're not writing it in a way that's gonna sound cliche, because so many students do that. And my whole philosophy is that it's not that your story is cliche, it's just the way that you're writing about it. So you just need to understand and learn the college essay strategy that it takes to get into these schools. So if you are determined to do what it takes to get into top schools like Stanford, then you definitely want to check out my free masterclass. Like I said before, I broke down the top school admission strategy, and I'm going to give you some of those techniques that you need to do exactly what we just talked about. Your authentic story matters and deserves to be told in the best way. All right, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you found it helpful or had any realizations, please let me know in the comments below. I'd be curious to hear. Also, if you have any other video suggestions that you want me to make, let me know as well. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.